guest on this episode of the podcast is actor David Howard Thornton, better known as Art the Clown from the film Terrifier. Hope you enjoy this one. This was a fun talk. All right, David. Thanks so much for being on the podcast with me.
Thank you very much as well, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I think it's been close to like a year since the last time I interviewed you for the actual Horror Wolf 666 website. So I thought it was pretty fitting to have you on my podcast I just started. So
yeah, lots changed in the last year.
That's for sure.
Yeah, what a year.
Yeah. I think things are getting better though overall. So
yeah, oh, definitely. It seems like we're starting to get back to normal and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I do my first convention type thing this next week in LA. So I'm like, yay, getting back to some kind of normalcy.
Oh, that's badass. What convention are you doing?
It's a pop-up horror festival called Horrorville at Halloween Depot in Southgate in LA.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'd be good to get back out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's also a trip to LA, so I can't complain.
How far away is that for you?
Oh, I'm in New York City, so yes, total opposite end of the country.
Oh, no shit. Yeah. I've been to both, and that's definitely a trek from New York all the way out to California.
Oh yeah. But I'm not complaining after being cooped up for a year.
Oh, I bet. So this will be like the first thing you've done since the whole COVID thing?
Yeah. My last convention was in like early March of last year, and that was down in Pittsburgh, and then we went to lockdown.
Wow. Yeah, it's so crazy, man. It's been like a Stephen King like book for the past 2 years, and I'm finally like happy all this shit's coming to an end, it seems like.
Yeah. Oh man, I hear you.
It's been like the weirdest shit ever. I mean, there's been a lot of highlights when it comes to like certain things, but like overall, it's been so fucking weird, man.
Oh yeah, it's like we lost a whole year. It's like, can we all just like get an extra year tacked onto our life so we can make up for this year we lost?
That's a good idea. Hey, can you imagine what the kids are going to read about like when they're in school like years from now, like the year of 2020? Like that's going to be a big ass thing that we lived through.
Oh my God. Yeah, some kids are going to be like, what? People weren't trying to wear masks and they were just going around and spreading it even though they knew this thing. I'm like, yeah.
They might make the connection between that and the stand. I mean, it's kind of like a minor stand, but it was pretty fucking close to the stand, if you ask me.
Oh my gosh, it really was. That's one of my favorite books too, not just of Stephen King's, but of all time. So it's just like, boy, when all this first started happening, that's what I immediately thought of. Like, oh God, the stand is coming true.
Yeah, I tweeted at Stephen King about that. I think it was like last year. I was like, you never know, he might like my tweet. But I was like, Stephen King, what did you write for the rest of the year?
Did he say anything back?
No, unfortunately he didn't.
Dang, that would.
But you awesome. Never know. You never know.
You never know. So no harm in trying.
Right. That's the cool thing about Twitter. Like, you can @ somebody on there, and they might get back at you and say hi, which is insane, you know?
Oh yeah, I actually heard from Mark Hamill that way one time. I was like, holy crap!
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, it was one of those cool things too, because like it was one of my fans commented they had seen my version of the Joker that I did on the web series Nightwing Escalation, and he's like, Mark Hamill, you should see his Joker. And I just tweeted back like, oh man, if Mark Hamill ever saw my Joker, I would plots. And just like 2 or 3 minutes later, I get a message back from Mark Hamill going, plots away, David. Fantastic job. I'm like, what? No.
I'd have like a minor heart attack.
Oh man, I was like, I was doing the dance of joy. I was like, oh my God, I got the seal of approval from the best Joker ever. Are you kidding me?
Wow. I think the biggest Twitter thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Oh no, that was it.
Oh, I think the biggest Twitter hitback I ever got was from Dee Snider, and that was I think this year. I was tweeting about Holliston, which Shudder just picked up, you know. And I was like, man, Holliston's so awesome. I missed out on this back in the day. I'm glad Shudder picked it up. And I think Dee Snider's like, hell yeah, and like reshared it or something. I was like, holy shit. I was like, Dee Snider.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's like little things like that, you know, kept me going through all the COVID shit, you know.
Oh yeah, I hear you. It's just like I mean, I'm still trying to get used to people thinking I'm a celebrity now, but that's one of the reasons I always try to respond back as much as possible because, I know how excited it makes me, like how it'll just make my week or month or year if I hear back from someone I've, really, you know, I guess, appreciated their work with this film and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, man, if I should respond back too as much as possible. Who knows? I might make someone's day.
Right. No, I think that's great. And you're always super quick to respond. And on top of that, you have a giant fan base. I remember when I released that interview with you, the written one, dude,
Mhm.
people were going nuts. I'm like, holy shit.
That's amazing. I'm still, like I said, trying to wrap my brain around that all because I'm just like, I still live in a little crappy New York apartment and, with roommates and, wait for the day when I can move out on my own and get my own place. But,
Well,
so it's
hopefully,
like, it keeps you humble. That's how I look at it.
man, you're like your portrayal of Art the Clown. I mean, that ranks up there in some of the top slashers of all time, in my opinion. And I'm a
Thank
big like 80s slasher guy. Like Art is right up there, dude.
Oh, thank you, man. We hope to, like keep going with it. It's like it's just amazing to even be compared to, those guys, like Jason and Mike Myers, Chucky, Freddy, all of them. It's just like just to even be considered in the same ballpark. I feel like I'm little league compared to them, but
You made a hell of an impact. I'm like, first time I saw Terrifier, dude. The first one I saw when I think before you started playing Art the Clown was like the couple of shorts that were done like All Hallows Eve, I believe.
yeah, yeah.
And that was really cool. And that was how I figured found out about Art. I was like, oh, that's fucking evil. And
That's
then
how I found about art too.
Really,
Is All Hallows Eve. Yeah, it was before I had the audition. I had seen about a year or so before, and I was like, oh my god, I love this character. He's cool.
he is so evil, and the way you do him, like in on when so on Terrifier when I saw it on Netflix and stuff, I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking evil, man. Like, it's like God, dude, that's like beyond like evil. Like you killed it.
Oh, thank you. He's a fun kind of evil too. That's what I like about him. He's just not just flat out like Lucius Malfoy evil. He's got such a playful side to him too. He's very charismatic. So it's just like he's one of those villains you kind of you question yourself for rooting for.
Right. And it's all physical too. I don't think you speak maybe like nothing in Terrifier, I don't believe. I don't think you speak
Not
anything.
a
It's all
word, not a sound, yeah. Which can be hard at times when you're having to act like you just got stabbed and you instinctively just want to make a grunting sound.
yeah, you like portray the emotion so well. Like it's really cool, man. That's definitely a gift that you don't see that too often.
It comes from just years of watching films, especially the silent film era. It's just that there's so much great stuff to learn from and build upon.
What were some of your inspirations growing up getting into acting and stuff?
Oh God, so many. I mean, of course, like the original like silent film actors like Chaplin and Keaton and Harpo Marx, all those guys. Fantastic to learn from. But I would say like some of the more modern day ones would be like Doug Jones has always been a big, huge influence on me because, he and I are so much alike physically. So I was like, when I discovered Doug Jones, I'm like, that's the kind of career I want one day. I like what he does. He's able, he can encompass all genres and do so many cool characters. And he's just so physical with everything. I love his style, and so I was like, that's the kind of career I'm gonna try to aspire for. So he was definitely a big influence. I mean, Jim Carrey, big huge influence on me as well because I love physical comedy, and Jim Carrey's one of the best modern physical comedians of our time,
Hmm.
as well as Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean. He was a huge influence on me as well. I mean, especially on Art. I kind of look at Art as an evil version of Mr. Bean in a lot of ways. And so, I put a lot of that into Art. Also, gosh, I mean, Robin Williams, huge influence on me just for comedy. And
Hmm.
then I had the great pleasure and fortune of understudying Stephen Carl for 5 years when I toured with the Grinch.
Oh, cool.
And he was Robbie Rotten on Lazy Town. And Stefan was a master at physical comedy. He was basically known as Iceland's Jim Carrey.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was, since I was his understudy, he was able to take me aside and give me pointers and help fine tune my skills that I'd been cultivating my whole entire life, because he was professionally trained in physical comedy and clowning.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a huge influence on me, especially for my interpretation of art too. I would have moments on set. I was like, how would Stefan handle this situation? What would he do here? And that's when basically I would know what to build from.
Right.
Yeah.
That's some heavy hitters there.
Yeah. Learn from the best, I say. Learn from the best, adapt, and make it your own.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Like what films kind of like inspired you as well, like growing up?
Oh gosh, I would say the first one that it's my favorite film of all time is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like, to me, it's the perfect film. It's everything I love in a film wrapped up in one, and I find no flaws in it. It's just a perfect film, and it's also the film that first introduced me on how movies were made. Because when it first came out, they had a special on TV about how they made the movie, and that's when I learned about how they made movies, and also how I learned about Mel Blanc, who did all the voices for the Looney Tune characters. And I was like, oh, wow, because I do voiceover work as well. And that's what inspired me I was like, wow, one guy does all those voices. That's really cool. I would love to be able to do something like that. So I kind of started that as a hobby, learning how to do character voices, and just built from there. Now I have a repertoire of over like 200 voices.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah. It's like I can't catch a
sometime.
baseball to save my life, but I can do so many voices to entertain myself. So it's like I always say, find something you're good at and really focus on that, and find a way to capitalize on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's another key thing to do. Definitely, man. That's another set of great advice there.
Yeah.
With the voice thing, I do some voices too, but I just fuck around with them. Been doing since I was a kid. Like I do all kinds of, just it's fun. And if you can like capitalize on that, like I mean, that's fucking cool.
I mean, sometimes all you need is just one voice and you're set. That's the strange thing. It's like, you look at Don LaFontaine, who was, the movie trailer guy for the longest time until he passed away. The In a World is that he just had that voice. It's like that's all he needs, and he's golden for the rest of his life.
Something so simple but so powerful.
Yeah. And so easy.
Yeah.
It is like voiceover work can be one of the easiest jobs. It also can be a very challenging job. I'm working on a series right now where I'm doing a lot of animal voices, but they're not talking. They just make barks and baas and stuff like that. But I have to find emotion behind these different barks and woofs and whatever, and it can be challenging.
Do you find it more challenging than actually like physical acting, or?
It depends. It depends on like the same, because like oddly enough, even though I'm doing the voiceover work, I am doing a lot of physical acting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like for like when I'm doing fight scenes and stuff like that for anime, and there's so many grunts, and you just can't stand there and just go. Ugh. You have to actually. I sometimes actually punch myself just to get more of an impact, which sounds insane, but I mean, I'm not punching myself really hard. I don't want you to think I'm in there just like beating myself up, and I'm doing enough just to get a little sound,
Right.
So or like just running. I mean, like when your character's running, it's one thing just to go make that sound, but another thing to actually run in place, and you just naturally have that sound going. Mm-hmm. Especially when you have to talk afterwards, and you naturally have that trying to catch your breath type of sound, going with the dialogue. So there's a lot of physical acting that goes into voiceover acting. Most people just don't really think of it.
Right. I think Robin Williams is one of the greats of the physical stuff and like doing the different voices and voice acting. So did you look up to him?
Oh, very much so. Especially when I saw Miss Doubtfire, because his character Daniel in that was a voiceover actor. Yeah. And that's when I, even though I knew about Mel Blanc, that's when I really realized, voiceover acting could be a true profession for somebody. I was like, oh, that's cool. That would be a fun job to have one day, sitting there and doing voices for cartoons like that.
Yeah, no shit. That would be great. I have a friend that's an artist, and we've talked about him doing the drawings and stuff, and I'm doing the voice for some of the characters, but that hasn't come into fruition yet. But hopefully it will soon. You never know. So
it's really interesting because they're especially with voiceover acting, there's two different ways you record sometimes. Like sometimes you already have the animation to go off of, and other times you don't. And either way is good and bad. It has because like when you have the animation to go off of, you especially when there's a lot of physical stuff you have to do, like all the grunts and all that kind of stuff, you know what to go off of. And you can, but then you also have to time everything, which can be a pain, especially when it's animated. You try and time the lip flaps, as they call them, it's because it throws off sometimes your timing with how you would actually say the line. You sometimes don't have an organic read because you have to fit that, little bit of a sentence into like a second, and you're like, oh God, I have to really say this really fast. Those are the challenges there. But like when you don't already have the animation, then you have that freedom. But at the same time, when it comes to those physical scenes, you're like, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to just use my imagination here and just try to imagine what's happening. And like, okay, whoa. It can be a challenge there too.
Right. Yeah, I follow a few people who do like some voice acting stuff and all, and they like share their like mini stories and everything. They show them in the booth and all. I'm like, well, that's a lot like recording vocals for a band.
Yeah,
Like,
it really is. And you're usually going line by line too. So I'll usually do like 3 takes on a line, then move on to the next one. So there's also not a lot of continuity. You have to keep that flow in your head of where the dialogue's going. So you don't have weird, variations of intent, which can be a challenge because, I'm used to stage acting where, you go through the whole entire, story at once. You don't stop and restart. You're going from the beginning to the end. And that's the difference between, also not just in, stage, but, with film work and voice work, you're doing it in different chunks at different time periods. So it can be more of a challenge because with stage work, you have that luxury of being able to really get into the moment and live in that moment and keep going with it. With film, it's like, okay, say a few lines and cut and do it again and do it again and do it again. And then you move on to the next part of the scene. Then you move on to the next part of the scene.
Right.
But you have to keep that same energy going that you had already been building up, which can be a challenge because you have to get back into it. It's like, oh God.
Yeah, getting into the mindset, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of mindsets, what is the mindset you're in when you're playing art?
Oh gosh, it depends on the moment. Because even though I don't have dialogue, I'm usually doing lines in my head. And I just come up with my own dialogue. So I have some kind of intent going on in my head. So I'm saying little sarcastic things in my head, and hoping it, comes out on my face while I'm saying it too, because that's why I do it. So it helps me with timing as well. It's like with my different reactions to things. If I just say the lines in my head and just go with that.
Do you kind of stay hidden during like when you're not shooting, when you're doing art stuff, like to kind of like add a little more scare factor when you do show up, or do you like how do you do that?
Not yet. No, I mean, because I'm not a method actor in that sense. I can all I need is like a few seconds and then back into character. But and none of the actors I've worked with have needed that from me. So like I will usually just go from just sitting around cracking jokes to like, okay, rolling night, put on the angry eyes, I guess you would say. But if someone needs that from me, sure, I'll give it to them. It's whatever the other actor needs to help them get through the scene. That's how I look at it.
That's
whatever
cool.
helps make their performance better.
Yeah, I bring it up because I think Kane Hodder talks about that, like when he plays in like Hatchet and Friday the 13th movies and stuff. He'll like stay away from everybody until it's time to start shooting, and then he goes nuts.
Yeah. But that's every actor does their own thing. Whatever works best for you and helps get you to where you need to be for the role, then go for it. That's how I look at it.
Well, you definitely pull that off very well. So
thank you. So does Kane. Kane. I don't even think he needs to. He's just intimidating as he is.
Yeah.
He is strong too, man.
And he's still strong. Like he's getting up there in age, but I still want to
he's still strong. Oh my God, I was at because we've done so many conventions together, so we're pals now. But it's like we were doing one, and I'm just standing there talking to a fan, and all of a sudden I'm in a headlock, and I can barely breathe, and I'm just like, "Hey, Kane!" He's like, "How do you know it's me?" I'm like, "Who else would be doing this?" I was like, "Damn!" It's like he wasn't even squeezing too hard, but it was enough to make me just like choke. I'm like, "Good God, man, he's strong." I said, I would not want to piss him off.
No, not at all. So he's pretty much on pretty much all the time. Like Kane is who Kane is. Like he's the tough guy. Like don't mess with him kind of guy.
Oh, he's a big teddy bear though. He's funny. He's such a funny guy.
He does a podcast with Felissa Rose and Tiffany Shepis. I listen to oh damn it, what is it called? It's called Friday something.
I know exactly what you're talking. It's like right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, damn it, I wish I knew what the name was off the top of my head. But anyway, Casualty Fridays.
There we
Fridays.
go.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's just cool hearing him talk regular. It's not like trying to be like he's playing in Hatchet or anything. It's just Kane Hodder. It's like, wow, it's Kane Hodder on his off days.
Oh yeah, he's a fun guy to sit down and have a beer with and talk to. He's a great guy.
Who's some of like the coolest celebrities you've met, like doing the conventions and stuff?
Oh God, so many. Because I really haven't had any bad run-ins with anybody, which is good. But it just seems like all the horror actors, especially, are just cool people. We all played these horrible, despicable people on screen, but like real life, we're all big teddy bears. Just fun, lovely people to get to know. Like Bill Moseley is just like one of the most chill, cool dudes you can meet.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, but he plays so many just crazy out there characters. That's what I love about him. It's just like I guess it's for me and maybe for Bill too. It's easy to play things that you're not. I can really just let myself go and play something crazy that something I'm not. I have a harder time playing characters that are more like myself.
Right.
It's just weird. It's a weird thing for me. But like Bill's great. I mean, like I'd say my top 3 run-ins I've had were like Alice Cooper, which was really cool.
Nice.
Damien and I just we have the same manager as Alice, so he invited us to come down to a convention he was at in Philly. He's like, "You want to come meet Alice?" We're like, "Yeah." And we ended up just sitting there in the green room and just chatting about movies and stuff like that for about an hour with him. It was so cool. It's just the most laid back, cool conversation. I was like, man, this it's weird because after a while you forget you're sitting there talking to Alice Cooper. You're just talking to Alice.
Right.
He's like, it's just Alice. It's like, this is amazing. Then you're like, it dawned us later, oh my God, we just hung out with Alice Cooper. It's just like, holy shit. That, of course, Doug Jones is great. I've got to hang out with him at a convention down South North Carolina at Mad Monster Party back in 2019. So that was great. He and I just hung out together for about an hour or so, just getting to know each other, which was I was happy. I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, he's just a lovely person. He's just awesome guy. Mm-hmm. But I would say probably the coolest one so far was when we're at Spooky Empire in Orlando, and Damien's getting my makeup on for our photo op in the green room. And I had told my manager there was this one actor there that I would love to meet, but I know it would probably be next to impossible to meet him because he's going to be busy the whole entire time. And I didn't want to just break in line and, disrupt anything. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if I meet him, I meet him. If I don't, I don't. It's kind of cool just knowing I'm in the same room with him. And so we're sitting there and our manager walks in and he's like, "Hey guys, got someone here that wants to meet you." We're like, "What? Come on in." And I just hear it because I have my eyes closed because Damien's doing my makeup on my eyes. And I just hear this, "Oh, wow." And like Damien just makes this sound I've never heard before come out of him. Just made this sound. And my eyes blast open, and standing before me is Christopher Lloyd with the biggest smile on his face. And I'm just like, oh my God. Because like that man is like my childhood. He's so many characters from so many of my favorite movies growing up. I'm like, that man has brought so much joy to my life. And I was like, I made him smile. I'm like, that's all. That was like the coolest thing to me. Like, I made Christopher Lloyd smile. And he and I just ended up sitting there and talking for a little while. And he's just the kindest man. It's like, because he's played so many crazy characters himself, Right. And he's just such a quiet, soft-spoken, chill dude. And I was like, this is amazing. It's like I never in my life imagined I would be able to just sit there and have a conversation with Christopher Lloyd like that. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I would have been freaking out in my head and like, holy
Oh, I
shit,
was.
Christopher Lloyd.
Oh my God, I was. It's like the next day too. We had our lunch break in the green room, and I'm sitting there at the table because they had a big Addams Family reunion. So they had like Pugsley at the table and Lurch, and then also E.T. So like Henry Thomas is there, the guy that plays his brother is there,
Hmm.
Dee Wallace, and Christopher Lloyd sitting next to me, just casually reading a newspaper. Eddie Furlong's at the table. So I was sitting at a table with my childhood, basically, and then someone bumps into me, and while she was talking on the phone, she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then she sits next to me, and it's Christina Ricci, and I'm like,
What?
"What is going on?" And I'm just in my head, just going, "Okay, be cool, David. Be cool. Be cool. Be cool. Don't freak out. Don't freak out." But because I had like imposter syndrome going on the whole time, I was like, "I don't deserve to be in this room right now. This is what." Like this is, oh my God, just be cool, eat your sandwich, it's all good. It's just the most surreal thing, just absolutely surreal.
Was Christina Ricci nice?
Oh yeah, she was very nice. She was just talking to her kids on the phone, so it was really weird seeing her in mom mode.
I bet.
I was like, wow, she's a mom. This is so. I love seeing like celebrities not being celebrities, but just being people. That's
Hmm.
what I love to see, and getting to know them as people.
Right.
Just getting to that level with them. It's just like, oh, this is really cool. Yeah, they're just people like I am. Okay, this is cool. This is cool. All right. it,
Yeah, I
it
think
helps
it's
get rid of the nervousness, I think.
right. Yeah, no, yeah, like as we see them like growing up and everything, they're like gods, like
Yeah.
gods and goddesses, and like, whoa, look at this. And as we get older, and if you get the chance to meet them, you find out they're just normal people, just like us.
Yeah. Just people that got really lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't had any chance to meet any big celebrities. I haven't done any cons or nothing like
Mhm.
or film festivals yet because I've been doing band stuff for like the past 17 years of my life. So not
Yeah.
doing band stuff anymore. So now I have time to dedicate to like horror stuff and
Oh,
possibly
definitely.
get some festivals under my belt.
Definitely go to them because I mean there's so much, especially the horror festivals. There's something different because I've gone to Comic Cons as well. Even before I was Art the Clown, I was doing Comic Cons, just sometimes cosplaying. So I love them, but it's like there's such a different camaraderie with the horror conventions, with the fan
Mhm.
base, and also the celebrities with the fan base. It's like a big family type of vibe because I guess because some of the celebrities do a lot of these conventions together with each other, so they all get to know each other. A lot of the fans go to so many different conventions too,
Mhm.
so they all know each other. The celebrities know the fans know each other. It's just like a whole like, oh hey, and there are a lot of after parties, so people are always hanging out at those, and the celebrities, a lot of them come to those as well and just hang out with people. And I know especially like Kane and Felissa are definitely going to be at the after parties.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they
especially
seem like they're
Felissa.
partiers.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Felissa and I have done so much karaoke together. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
oh yeah, yeah. We have fun. We have fun.
I'm a big fan of hers. I love it when she does her like little thing on the Joe Bob show when she comes in and talks like mangled penises and stuff, the
Oh
mangled
yeah, the
dicks.
mangled
Yeah.
dick expert. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's fun. Joe Bob's fun too. We did the three of us did a convention in San Diego 2 years ago together, and we ended up going out to dinner that night and just sat there dinner for like 4 or 5 hours just
What?
talking. Because yeah, Joe Bob, he's just like one of the most interesting guys to sit down and have a conversation with.
Hmm.
He's got like an endless supply of knowledge, especially when it comes to film.
Right.
It's just like wow, he he is just so smart, such a smart guy to sit there and just he's just great. So that was a fun one too. It's like oh wow.
Yeah, his understanding of movies like horror and like this film in general is crazy. You think, oh, I know a lot about movies and stuff, but no, you don't know as much as Joe Bob does.
Oh no. Oh no! So I would love to see Damien and Joe Bob just sit down and talk together because Damien is a huge movie buff as well. So I would love to just see the two of them just go at it and just start talking movies.
That sounds like that would be a cool podcast.
Oh man, that's like we keep on, Diana, who Darcy, on
Hmm.
there. She keeps wanting to kind of get us on the show as well. She's a big, huge fan of Terrifier, so hopefully we can get on there one day.
Dude, that would be killer.
Oh, that'd be so much fun.
I found out yesterday I was watching The Last Drive-In, and I found out that Darcy, she's from the same area I am, Charleston, South Carolina.
Really?
She worked at the Blockbuster I used to go to when I was in the
Wow.
90s. I'm like, holy shit, what a small world.
Wow, you probably saw her at that
Hmm.
Blockbuster growing. That is crazy.
I'm like, what, dude? Because she was like, yeah, there's a Blockbuster here. Then they built a small Blockbuster across the street. I'm like, I remember that. It used to be a Hollywood Video. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my God. That's such a cool small world moment. It's like if you ever meet her, you'll have to, tell her that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
communicate with her on Instagram and stuff, and on
Okay, cool.
Twitter when she's not bombarded.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's a really cool person too. She's such a sweetheart.
She does so much for hard when it comes to like getting it out there on social media and like and all the writing she does and everything. She's a real
Yeah.
badass.
Oh, she really is. She really is. It's just like, and she's a good mom too.
Hmm.
It's just like with her son and stuff like that. I was like, I've heard a lot about that from Joe Bob. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, The Last Drive-In is like one of the best things that ever happened to TV in a very long time, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Oh yeah. It's just fun. It's like we did a convention up in Canada, and Joe Bob was there, and he did a whole last drive-in thing at the convention. I'm trying to. What was the movie we watched? It was some weird movie, but it was. I didn't care anything really about the movie. I was more entertained by what he was saying about the movie, all the backstory, all the behind the scenes stuff. I was like, this is fascinating.
Hmm.
I ended up missing a concert that night because he just kept talking about movies. I was like, I can't leave. I'm too fascinated by him right now.
Right. Yeah, I could listen to him talk all day. Like,
Yeah,
I want to catch one of his shows. I know he does live shows and all that stuff, but he hasn't come that close to me yet. And
yeah.
hopefully, since everything's opening back up, it'd be easier to get to go see him.
Oh, definitely. So if he does come near you, I highly recommend going. I highly recommend it. You'll be thoroughly entertained.
Encyclopedia of film is what he is.
Yeah, he really is. He's got such a rare talent there. It's just like he literally is like an encyclopedia when it comes to film.
I don't know if you watched The Last Drive-In last night, but they had a movie called Things on there. Have you heard of that one?
I have heard about this episode already from some people that's like, oh, you have to watch this episode from last night. Unfortunately, I don't have Shutter, so I can't. But
Oh.
one day, one day.
Yeah, it was a rough one when it comes to movie wise, movie picks. But
Yeah.
just having Joe Bob explain everything and stuff, that's like the highlight. Makes everything so much fun.
Oh
And
yeah.
we do like a live Twitter talk or whatever on Fridays too. Like everybody like uses the same hashtag and stuff. And it's like a giant like conversation, and you can crack jokes and everything, and it's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it makes Fridays kind of special. Get the work week over and shit, and like, all right, it's time for some Joe Bob, and.
Exactly. I'm glad that they keep picking him up, and I was like, yeah, keep because he can do this forever. And that's the thing.
Mhm.
There's so many movies out there that he can just re-show and comment on. So it's just like, yeah, it's just like it's a brilliant concept, really, when you think about it. It's not something that's just gonna run out of steam.
No. I mean, there's movies being made every day, and like there's movies from
Yeah,
back in the day I haven't even seen. I try to watch everything, but there's so much shit out there, man.
yeah, yeah. Since
And yeah,
I figure as long as people keep watching and he wants to do it, they can keep doing it. So
hmm he's popular as shit. Like his Twitter hashtag on Fridays is always maxed out to number one and stuff. So his
yeah,
popularity is bigger than ever, I think.
which I'm happy to see. I'm very happy to see that.
Yeah, and that like him. I like Svengoolie too. If I ever catch his show, that show's good. Like with the old
Hmm.
school stuff.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And heard rumors about Elvira coming back doing something. This was a couple of years ago, so I don't know
Oh
if that's going to
wow,
happen, but that would be cool as hell.
that would be cool. I've been in a few conventions with her, but I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her yet.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, dang it. I've seen her walk by, and I'm like, but I've been busy. So I'm like, oh, dang it. because I think she'd be a fun person to talk to.
Yeah, I bet. I bet she's got some stories too.
Oh, she's got some stories.
Holy crap.
She's got some stories. That's what I love. It's like meeting these people and hearing their stories. It's like I heard a few before he passed away from Sid Haig, and I was just like, oh my God.
I bet.
And it's like I could have just listened to Sid tell stories all day. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, he was awesome. That was a sad day when he died. I was like,
Oh
man, so
man, that it was really interesting when they first announced that he had. I guess what was when he went to the hospital. We were doing a convention that weekend, and it was so funny because that morning when all this broke, I got in the elevator and all these other people got in the elevator with me. It's like, Doug Bradley and Miko Hughes and Felissa, a lot of us, it ended up being an elevator full of horror actors. And we're all like, anybody know what's going on with Sid? And like all of us were like, well, someone said that, and we're like, oh, like, well, I messaged Bill, and then everybody's like, I messaged Bill because everybody was contacting Bill Moseley trying to figure out what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those very surreal moments of realizing who all was in that elevator, and we're all like, we had that same concern. Oh my God, what's going on with Sid? And it's like, oh no, oh no, oh no, and all of us are like immediately contact Bill Moseley. He should know.
Yeah, that was sad. It sucks getting older sometimes, man, because then your heroes end up dying eventually. It's gonna happen, it still sucks.
But see, that's one of those things that made me respect Sid even more was, knowing that he was sick while we were doing these conventions together.
Mm-hmm.
It made me respect him more because every single day he was the first person on the floor and the last person to leave the floor. I would try to beat him to the floor, and he would still beat me. And I was like, dang it, Sid. That's crazy. It's like, yep, you're not going to beat me. And I'm like, yep, I know. I'm trying. But just knowing that, as sick as he was that committed to his fans and showing up like that. That just spoke volumes about his character.
Yeah, I've heard great stories about Sid. I've never gotten to meet him either. I know you have and stuff, but from what I hear and like what you say and stuff, like he's a great dude.
Oh yes, such a kind man, very very kind man. I'm like, it's the same convention I met Doug at. It was Sid and I were doing our photo ops one after another, and so they thought it would be fun for us to get our costumes and makeup on at the same time because mine takes longer anyway. Mm-hmm. So we were in the same room together getting our makeup done. So that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, they filmed it too, and it was just one of those really cool moments. And I didn't realize how special that moment was until after he passed away. It's just like, wow, that was a very cool moment because right before he walked out the door, he turns to me and goes, "See you under the big top, kid."
Whoa!
Walks out the door. It's like it just kind of felt like a passing of the torch in a way. It's like this is kind of special. This is kind of special. It was just like, wow.
Yeah, that's a powerful moment.
Yeah. It's like that the picture of Damien, he and I, is a really cool picture. It's just like I'm going to treasure that one for always.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, yeah, once in a lifetime thing there.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, wow. And it was a very surreal moment too because like Bruce Campbell walked through at one point, Sergeant Slaughter walked through the room at one point. I'm like, what is going on? It's like, this is crazy.
Your whole childhood is right there. Like, holy shit.
Oh my God, yeah. Bruce still intimidates me. I'm just so afraid to go up and talk to him.
Oh, you haven't talked to him before?
No, I was in the elevator one time with him going back up to the green room at a convention and ended up cracking a joke and he started laughing. But I was like, okay, I'm going to, because he and his manager were in business, talking and stuff like that. It's like, I don't want to interfere anymore. I was like, I got him to laugh. That's all that matters. So I'm like, okay, cool. I don't want like my first time to be around him, like talking to him, and he's like gets annoyed with me. So I'm like, okay, no, I don't want to annoy Bruce Campbell.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
Well, at least you made him smile. That's a cool thing. So.
That's all that matters to me, man. Mm-hmm. If I can make someone smile that I respect, I'm like, that means the world to me because that person, like I said with Christopher Lloyd, those people have brought so much joy to my life. So if I can just bring a smile to their face, that's all that matters.
What if some of your like best fan experiences, like doing these things, like most like memorable?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think one of the cool ones was when I was in Chicago, shortly after we came out in 2018,
Hmm.
and I had found out I had a 4-year-old fan,
Oh wow.
little girl, and she was so adorable. You would not look at this child and think she was a huge horror fan.
Hmm.
She was just absolutely just like she gives you diabetes just looking at her. She's so adorable. And she kept coming by my table and just, hi, Art, hi. And her parents were like, yeah, she's seen the movie like 10 or 11 times. I'm
Wow.
like, are you kidding me? She's like, yeah. She's like obsessed with you. I'm like, that is so cool. And I'm going to be in Chicago, I think, later on again this year. So I hopefully get to see her again, see how she's doing 3 years later. So,
That's really cool, man. Like
Yeah.
you can see her kind of grow up, and like
Yeah.
follow you as far as, as she grows up with you.
Yeah, those are the moments I love, especially because I'm a former teacher.
Hmm.
I used to teach elementary school, and so I love children a lot, and so it's kind of a funny thing when you find out kids are really into your character. This horrible, scary guy, and they're like they love this character. I'm like, wow. I was like, wow. So basically, I'm kind of like for this child what Robert Englund and Kane and all those other guys were for me at that age. So I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, that's kind of cool. That's a kind of cool feeling. I've had those moments. I've a lot of cosplayers. I love the cosplay because like I said, I've cosplayed before, so I understand. There's that love that goes into it, that they really love the character that much that they decide to cosplay. And there's been some really creative ones too. Some ginger bent cosplays of art before. Some kids have dressed up like them and stuff like that. It's been really cool to see. And of course, a lot of tattoos. I've seen a lot of tattoos.
Yeah.
I've signed a few tattoos, and they've got my signature tattooed on them. So
That's
it's that kind
badass.
of stuff. It's pretty cool. Then there's a lot of artwork people have made for me. It's just I have a whole because I don't have place to put it all here in my little New York apartment, but I keep all the artwork people bring me.
Hmm.
So I hopefully have my art gallery, as I call it, one day whenever I have a bigger place.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because I love that kind of stuff. It's really cool to know that your character has inspired so much artwork. No pun intended. So well, maybe there's a pun intended. I don't know, but it's really cool. It's just like it's because there's so many creative people out there.
There is.
Because art is the character art is inspired from all the great horror icons that came before him. I kind of look at him as a mishmash of every horror villain, especially from the
Mhm.
70s and 80s. There's a little bit of all of them in him. So he's like a love letter to those guys. So it's he's inspired from them. So it's like it's kind of cool to know that we're inspiring other people now. And I really hope we are, because I hope we're bringing some new life into this genre in a lot of ways, so we can get away from just doing remakes and reboots all the time.
Yes.
I
And
want to I
zombie
want to see
movies.
it.
No zombie movies.
Yeah, unless they're really well done, like Train to Busan.
Yeah, that's different. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie. Mwah. That's like my favorite zombie movie since Shaun of the Dead. So I'm like,
Yeah, that one was killer.
yeah. Oh, that was so good. But that's the thing. It's like I hope we're giving this genre a swift kick in the nards that it needs right now. It's just like slashers have gotten kind of stale over the past decade or so.
They have, and they haven't really been like slashery enough. You know what I mean? It's like
No.
they're not the same. Like I think like the major slashers kind of ended like in the early 2000s. After
Yeah.
Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer and stuff, and
Yeah.
it kind of went on a drought really. Then
Yeah.
the Laid to Rest series came out, which I loved. I don't know if you've seen
Hmm.
the Laid to Rest films.
Yeah.
Those two were killer with Chrome Skull and stuff. Then after that, there was another kind of a drought. And we had Hatchet and
Yeah.
stuff, but it's not a lot like it used to be in the 80s and 90s and stuff. And then you know, Terrifier comes out and stuff, and kind of like holy shit, I get the same feeling watching this as I did like watching badass movies, slasher
Yeah.
films back in the early 90s and 80s and stuff. It's got that same gritty feeling to it. It's
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah. It's like we don't play it safe.
No, it shouldn't.
And I think that's the advantage of being an independent film. You don't have to play by the rules of the studio system. You can make your own rules and just like, hey, let's just try it. And we have the liberty to experiment and try new things. We're not trying to play it safe at all. It's like, because it seems that's what's happened with so many of the slasher movies that have been made recently. It's just like they're all trying to play it safe because they're trying to be more PG-13 because they're more obsessed about getting butts in seats and actually putting out a good movie.
Right.
And they don't understand, if you make a good movie, you'll get the butts in the seat regardless.
Yeah, you're going to get the fans.
Yeah, and even though it'll be rated R, you'll still get those kids that get their older brother or sister to bring them into the movie, or their parents, or they'll find ways to come see the movie regardless, just like we did back in the 80s.
Yep.
It's like if you make a good movie, people will show up. That's the thing, and that's what we're hoping to accomplish with Terrifier too. It's like we haven't pulled back on anything that we did in part one, nice. Especially with the gore.
Nice. That's my favorite part of part one was the gore. It's like shit. I love that.
Well, it's like Damien just recently finished the first cut of the film, and it comes in over 2 hours long, which is insane for a slasher film.
Right.
That's an insane length. And we first were like, oh God, maybe it's just too long. But we were like, what can we cut from it without, impacting the rest of the movie? And there's really nothing we can cut. There's just so much of this film. And I think part of what adds the link to the film are the kill scenes. If we don't do those quick one and done kill scenes in this thing, we stretch them out. Because Art's not one of those like stab and move on type of killers. He takes his time with it. That's his art is right. The kill is I like to say he plays with his food, and that's what we're showing in this movie. It's like we filmed we had to postpone filming our big kill scene last year because of the pandemic, but we got back to it in December. Which, in a weird way, the pandemic kind of helped us in that situation because Damien had more time, not for just that scene, but the opening kill scene. He had more time to go back to the drawing board and look what he wanted to do with it since he had now more time to film it.
Right.
And he was able to revamp the kills. And, I mean, what we were originally going to do and what we had originally started filming were going to be good, would have sufficed. The audience would have been happy with those. But we're like, let's just swing for the fences here now that we've got the time. And that's what he did. So he went back and like, okay, let's embellish these more and just add more to it. And he did with these two scenes. And both scenes took like 4 or 5 days to film.
Wow.
Because there was just so much practical effects that we were having to deal with. We had to break it up in little chunks. Because all the little chunks.
I was about to say that,
yeah. But I think it's gonna serve us well. It's just like these things are insanely gory and graphic. I mean, Damien even like contacted me when he was editing like one of them. He's like, dude, I'm getting nauseous. Damien does not get nauseous. I'm like, this is the guy that created the scene. He's like, this is wow. And then we've been filming in another film during this called Stream with a lot of the Terrifier team, and Damien was doing the practical effects for that. So when he brought his computer rig with him to set, so when he wasn't, doing the makeup, he would be back in his room editing, and every time he would edit a new scene, he would come out and start showing everybody in the cast and crew because he wanted everybody's feedback.
Right.
And he's going because we had a lot of horror legends in Stream as well, and he would want their feedback. He was like, okay, since you've worked in this industry for a few decades, what do you think of this scene? And he showed them part of that scene that we filmed in December that everybody was like, oh my God. It's a scene that I think there's going to be a lot of hate for, but in a good way. People are going to be very disturbed by what I do in this scene and grossed out. Right. I can already hear, especially some of those very conservative minds out there like, oh my gosh, this is just, this is evil. This is just pure, just satanic. This is evil. These people are demented. They need to go to hell for this. And so it's like, but that's why people go to these slasher films in the first place, are to see these kind of kills.
Right.
They're like kind of kills that you would see in Sam Raimi movies, where just like, whoa, this, or like Peter Jackson, back in the day. It's just like those like, whoa, Jesus.
You think this major kill here is going to top the sawing in half scene from Terrifier?
Well, I think it will. But that's up to the audience. That's not my preference. I think it's more depraved than that scene in a lot of ways. It's mean. It's a very mean kill.
Right.
It's just it's sadistic, and it just keeps going. Nice. It's like, dude, how much are you gonna do to this person? Oh my God, what is wrong with you? I'm even while we're filming it, I'm like, oh my God, we're still doing more. We're still going. Oh my God, Damien.
How much blood did y'all use, you think, if you had to go by gallons?
Oh God, I lost count. There's this That's
a lot of blood.
It's just, oh my God. I mean, there would be days on set where like I had so much blood just on my hands that when I would pull my fingers apart, it looked like I had webbed hands because all that blood was just stuck in there. I'm like, good Lord. Nice. Yeah, definitely by the end of Terrifier 2, I am drenched in blood. As you've seen from the trailers, there's a lot of blood on me. There's a reason for that.
How long does the makeup take from Art?
That takes about 3 hours, give or take. It's like 3 hours on a good day when I don't have any battle damage and blood on me, but then we have to match up the blood splatters to what we filmed, so that takes more time, especially when I have battle damage too. Then they have to add like the scars and stuff like that to my face and what have you. The first one, like when I had my eye gouged out, they had to add that in there, and I guess you see that in the trailer for part 2 where it's like I have my eye gouged out. So yeah, it's like so that takes a little time to do as well.
Yeah, it don't seem like a lot of prosthetic work. I mean, it's like a really awesome makeup job too. It's like it's a nice combination of both. At least you're not sitting there suffocating. It doesn't look like.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like what takes so long is like Damien is very meticulous. He's all about everything looking 100%. He can be very Kubrickish in that way, not just with the makeup, just like the scene setups and stuff like that, where he will like. There'll be like a prop on a table and he's not happy with it, and he'll go over and just move it like a fraction of an inch, and then he goes back and like, okay, that's better. I'm like, he sees things that I don't see,
right?
So I've learned just to trust in him, because like he sees certain things, he knows how certain things need to look, and he will keep doing it until he gets the look he was going for. Now, thankfully, we haven't done 120 some odd takes like Kubrick would do, though.
Yeah.
Oh my God, poor Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories about her on the set of The Shining and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I love The Shining. It's a great movie. It's
it
a lot.
Really is.
A lot different in the book, which I like too, because like experiences there.
But like for examples, like how many times he reshot the blood elevator scene. Because he wanted the furniture to move in a certain way, and it didn't. He would reshoot it, and they had to fill that thing all the way back up with blood and do it again. And I'm like, good God, that had been a nightmare on set.
Yeah, the cleanup alone, like to get ready for the next shot, man. Holy
God.
Yeah.
God, I would have hated that day.
I remember I starred in and I'm sorry, I did not star. I was an extra in a horror movie. It was like a horror comedy back in couple of years ago, probably actually 10 years ago now. It's for I think it was for Troma. I think Troma picked it up. It was called Science Team. The fake blood they used was made with chocolate syrup.
Oh yeah.
So it actually tasted really good when it was like, supposedly my eye blew out and stuff, and there's blood coming out my mouth and shit. So I was like, yeah, just put this in here, and it's like chocolate syrup. Yeah. And the cleanup just for that alone, like I can imagine, that was on a small scale, compared to what you're dealing with, and The Shining and stuff like that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, luckily, like the blood we use is very water soluble, so it washes off very easily. But Damien adds other things to it. He sometimes adds chocolate syrup to it because it gives that darker color to it. Because sometimes the blood is way too bright red and it just doesn't look right. And so he also adds like sometimes dish soap to it as well. I don't know exactly what that does, but it seems to work. So
Nice.
Phew. Sorry, I had to sneeze real quick.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also cool with the Terrifier films that it's all practical effects. There's like hardly any
Yeah.
CG in it, correct? If any?
Hardly any.
Yeah.
Basically, the only CG that I know of is like blood trickling out of my eye after I shoot myself.
Hmm.
And there's a little CG he had to do on my crotch when I was doing the Buffalo Bills scene because I had a white tube sock on because I didn't understand. He told me to bring a cock sock to set that day.
Hmm.
And I'm like, what is that? He's like, just bring a sock. So I brought this bright white tube sock and I didn't think anything of it. He's like, no, you should have brought a black one. That white one was going to really show up on screen. I'm like, oh, no. Yeah, so he had to kind of edit out a lot of that because, most people don't notice I'm not just wearing her scalp and her boobs. I'm also wearing her vajayjay.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a horrifying scene, by the way.
Yeah. But that little vajayjay didn't really cover up everything too much. So, take that as it is, ladies. But
oh, man, your fans are going to be going crazy over that. Get some more stalkers after you. And just letting you know.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
They are out there like, I mean, like I said, when I posted that interview, dude, like it was like sharks going after so I know this here is really going to
yeah. Well, we have our own porn now, so there's that. So.
Oh God, yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
Horrifier. Yeah, it won an award too for best cosplay type for that category for cosplay. So that's amazing.
Yeah, y'all are getting around for sure. And when the second film comes out, man, it's gonna be crazy.
Man, I hope this really launches us into mainstream.
I think it's cool y'all got on Netflix, man. Out of all places, Netflix. That's pretty cool.
That really helped us. We're so underground before that, but that really launched us. It really got us out there in the world. But I mean, I still don't consider us mainstream yet. We still don't get any recognition from the mainstream Hollywood publication, the ones that report about movies all the time, IGN or Vanity Fair. It's always the horror crowd, the horror sites that report about us. So you're just we're kind of I kind of look at Hollywood as bubblegum pop, we're rock and roll and grunge.
Oh yeah, y'all are the metal.
Yeah, we're all of those. It's so we're the fringe. And it's they don't really want to acknowledge us yet because I think we kind of scare them a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think that's cool, man, because I mean the mainstream stuff rarely put out anything decent. Take for instance, I watched a new Conjuring movie yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't impressed.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. But I've enjoyed the first ones and stuff like that, but compared to the films that I grew up watching, it's just not the same.
Yeah, they tried their best to do an Exorcist scene from the Exorcist, the new Conjuring, and no, it doesn't work.
Well, so many of these now just rely on jump scares,
and
it's just there's so much more to it than that. It's jump scares to me are cheap.
Exactly.
It's we have maybe one jump scare in Terrifier. I'm even trying to think of any possible jump scare. We might have one jump scare in Terrifier 2. That's about it. It's just I think that's just easy, cheap way to scare people in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But also those are the scares that don't really affect people.
Right.
In the long run. It's those don't stay with you. They happen as one and done. You're and move on to the next one. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's where can we scare them at this time? Oh, let's pop out here, pop out there,
Yeah, and you can always tell when it's about to happen, too. There's always that build up to it. So it's something's going to jump out. Oh. And then a Mack truck goes through. It's oh.
And none of them compare to art on a bicycle.
Yeah, exactly. It's the stuff the depraved stuff like that just sits there in your brain, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. It's and a great example of this. I can't even remember what movie this was, and I don't even think it was a horror movie per se. But I remember seeing this when I was a teenager one time, and it's a scene where this scene going on, and this guy ends up hitting this girl in the head with a chair.
Mm-hmm.
And you just see her fall over dead, and this blood just starts gushing out of her forehead. But it's just the way they shot it. It was just God. It was almost because it's a character you really loved in the movie too. I wish I could remember what this was, but it was like it was a gut punch, but also it's just the way they did that death scene. It was just like, jeez,
Right.
because it just came out of nowhere, and it was just such a simple but morbid death at the same time. It's the way they filmed it, the way they made it look. It just looked so real.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Those are the
like,
ones that stick with you the
yeah.
longest, you know.
And this was like over 20, almost 30 years ago that I saw this movie, and I still remember that scene. I can't remember the name of the movie, but I remember that scene.
There's a. Do you remember the movie Warlock?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, I think this was like Warlock 2 maybe, but there's a scene where the Warlock picks up a little person and puts him in an Iron Maiden, and it's just so fucking horrible, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'll never forget that fucking scene. It's just so it's fucked up, man. You see the blood squishing out of the Iron Maiden and stuff like that. Like, oh man, it's horrible. And then he's screaming and stuff. It's so bad.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's the stuff that people remember, especially those kind of kill scenes. Those are the things that linger with people. They'll be sitting there in their bed later on that night, or driving their car or something like that, and they'll think of that, and it just freaks them out. That's the stuff that's lasts. Jump scares don't do that.
No, not at all. And we seem to be on a trend of jump scares, like for the past, I don't know, like 15 years, maybe long.
Drives me crazy.
Scares everything.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I'd rather have something that just sits there and festers in my brain for a while and freaks me out. That's the stuff I like. And it could be so simple too. It's like you look at Hitchcock, the way he was able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a master of that.
Like, so many people were afraid to take showers for the longest time after seeing Psycho.
Mm-hmm. Another one was Child's Play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. I had a My Buddy doll.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I recently went back and rewatched that whole entire series about 2 or 3 months ago, and they're so good. They're so good. It's like I love especially the ending to the first one, where it's just like, and the second one too, where it's like, my God, you just can't kill the guy. No. You think he's dead, then he keeps coming back, and he keeps coming back, and keeps coming back, and keeps coming. I was like, God, this is great.
And back then we had those toys, like we had the My Buddy dolls.
Yes.
We had like that shit fucked me up for a long time as a kid.
Yeah. Oh, I remember in the movie Monkey Shines, because my ophthalmologist when I was a kid had one of those monkeys in his office for kids, and I didn't even see Monkey Shines, but I just saw the poster of it with that monkey on it. It freaked me out as a kid, and when I go into my eye doctor's office, he would have to take that monkey out of the room before I would go into the room because it freaked me out too much.
I think my aunt had one of those. I think my aunt had one of those clapping monkeys, man. Yeah. Those are terrifying.
Yeah. It's that kind of stuff. It's just like, ooh, God, that's freaky. That's freaky.
When's y'all's release date that you think for Terrifier 2? When do y'all think it's gonna be released? You have any idea?
We were hoping for fall this year, but it all depends how quickly we can get distribution behind it. Damien's polishing the first cut right now, so he can start shopping it around to distribution. Mm-hmm. So it just all depends on whoever picks us up to put us out there to the world. So that's what we really want to, because the movie takes place on Halloween, so it's ideally an ideal time to release the movie would be on Halloween. But like I said, that's just hope. I can't say that's when it's going to come out yet. But right. Don't crucify me if it doesn't come out then, people. I have no control over that. I'm just the actor. That's like, trust me, I want it out as much as you guys do.
But I think patience will pay off for everybody.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be worth it, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like we haven't been sitting on this movie for like 2 years, like a lot of these Hollywood studios have been doing, like with Ghostbusters 2 and Halloween Kills and Candyman. All of those were in the can before the pandemic. They were already in the can. They were already done. Mm-hmm. They were going to release them last year, and they just decided to hold off and release them this year. We were still filming when the pandemic hit, and we started trying to film again during the pandemic. And we were able to finish filming during the pandemic earlier this year. But and then Damien's a one-man team, and he's been editing this by himself So it's not like he's got a whole Hollywood system behind him and a whole team of people to edit everything. He's doing it by himself.
Wow.
So it takes a little bit longer that way. So it's like we want this out as quickly as possible, but it takes us a little bit longer, and we're not delaying the release just for our own benefits. We want to release this just as much as anybody else does right now. It's just like we'll release it when it's ready. It's like you don't want to eat uncooked chicken.
Exactly.
Like we want this to be the version we want to be when we release it. We want to meet up to everybody's expectations, because this is a film made by the fans for the fans. It's like most of the funding for this film came from the fans.
Right.
And so this is a huge love letter to everybody. So we want to be the best it can be. And so, yeah, it's going to be a little over 2 hours, but apparently people are excited about that, because I guess now we live in a time when people are used to sitting down for a 3-hour Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Or 4 hours of the Snyder Cut.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, what? Cool. The important thing is you keep the audience entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll be doing that with this. I think we'll definitely keep everybody entertained. And so, yeah, I think people will have fun. It won't feel like a 2-hour movie.
Right. Yeah. I can't wait. I'm super excited. Everybody just needs to have fucking patience. It's going to be worth it.
Yeah. We don't need a Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, no. God, my wife was so disappointed with that.
Oh, I'm still holding off. I'm waiting for them to release the PlayStation 5 version of it, because I'm like, I want to get my money's worth. I don't want some subpar version of it.
Yeah, you got to wait a little bit longer. It looks like, man, you're still having issues. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, I'll wait. That's the thing. It's like patience pays off. I'd rather have the best version I can get than some crappy version of it. And that's
exactly.
I look at the movie world too. It's like when they have to make delays on releasing a movie, I'd rather delay until they get it right.
Mm-hmm. I don't like shit being rushed.
Yeah. No, I'd rather have the best it can be. I can wait.
What are some what are some of your future plans? Like, you have anything in the works for later down the line, or?
Yeah. Right now, of course, I'm still working on Stream, which we're hoping is becoming another horror franchise as well.
Nice.
This is kind of like an Expendables version of a horror movie too. We have so many horror legends in this movie. Some of them have been named. They have them on IMDb, like Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, nice.
Which is so awesome watching him work on set. But there are so many other people that I can't mention that are in this movie that I was just like geeking out on set. I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. It's like a who's who among horror people. Mm-hmm. And it's fun. It's a fun film. It's a fun slasher. It's a fun concept. I wish I could say what it's about, but I really can't yet.
Right.
But I think people are really going to enjoy this movie. They want to make more than they have, at least 3 in mind. So I was like, yeah, nice. This is where they're wanting to go with this is a really cool concept. So I'm like, yeah. And Damien's doing the practical effects for it, so the kills are going to be gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
And and this actually has a bigger budget than Terrifier 2 had. So we were able to get some really good stunt work in there too. I mean, we have some fun stunt work in Terrifier. We actually have some of our same stunt people from Terrifier 2 come over for Stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was like, this is really cool. So it's exciting. We kind of took over a hotel for about 2 months in Pittsburgh. No, not Pittsburgh, Gettysburg, and filmed there during January and February. And we still got a little bit left I have to film coming up. They're actually having to build a set for this one scene because it's very script specific what they need for the scene, and we just couldn't find a location for this. So I'm like, oh, well, we'll build the set then.
Nice.
So that's going to be fun. So I got that. Got this other movie coming out later on, hopefully this year, called Dark Offerings, which I have just a small role in. They wrote me in later on when they basically finished the movie. They're like, let's put Dave in. And so it's a movie that was filmed exclusively over Zoom during the pandemic too, which is a cool idea.
Yeah, very cool.
We made the best of a bad situation. So that's a cool thing. It's coming out later on this year. Also working on an animated series right now for Sesame Workshop. That's going to be on HBO Max, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really say more about that yet, but it's for the little ones. So it's kind of a fun, flip from killing people and being covered in blood all day. Now I go in there and just do a bunch of fun little voices for a kids show, which I love. So I've been in the middle of recording that recently. I recently finally got to go back. I had to do my first recording from my apartment. And I had to make my hallway into a makeshift studio, which was brutal. Mm-hmm. But since they released the mask mandate here in New York, I was able to go back into the studio recently and record more. And it was so nice being back in the studio again after a year or so.
I bet.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I'm excited about that coming out as well. And who knows after that? There's who knows? I'm hoping Terrifier is going to open a lot more doors for everybody once that comes out. Not just for me. I hope for our whole entire cast as well as Damien and all of them, because I think Damien needs to become the next Tom Savini.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna carry on that tradition, and he deserves the work that he can get because he does an amazing job.
Yeah, his effect work was crazy and Terrifier. Yeah. So he's doing all practically and stuff too. Yeah. Like you don't see that anymore.
I can only imagine what he could accomplish if he had the budget from a big Hollywood studio and a team behind him.
Oh man, yeah.
So that's like he's just getting started.
Nice.
It's like I mean I've seen like such a bump in quality from Terrifier 1 to Terrifier 2 with what he's been able to accomplish. He's really upped his game for Terrifier 2 with these prosthetics. So it's just like he's good. He's good.
Yeah, so looking forward to that, man. I'm hyped up now. I'm already waiting for the in my head anyways for the special edition Blu-ray to come out before I can buy it and add to my collection that I don't have any room for.
Oh, definitely. Me too. And we've been filming a lot of behind the scenes stuff too this time, so hopefully there's going to be a lot of fun extras to put on there. Yeah, I'm hoping for a blooper reel too. That's what I'm really hoping for, because we have some fun bloopers in there. There's a good one I like to talk about. It was just like in a scene where I'm wailing on one of my victims and I end up squeaking on a big huge fart, and I was like, whoops. And I was like rearing back and I'm like, oh shit. It's just those kind of things. I think farts are hysterical, so I was like, that has to go in the blooper reel.
That would be great. Yeah, definitely got to make that happen.
Call him Fart the Clown.
Oh, that'd be a meme going all over the place.
Oh yeah, I thought it was hysterical. I was like, we all lost it because it's such a very serious thing I'm doing here, and I just, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Wow. I am so sorry.
Yeah, well, I look forward to having a blooper reel on the next Blu-ray or VHS. They're doing a lot of VHS releases too, like just special editions, and I love those, man. I have a whole bunch of big box VHSs I've been collecting.
Yeah, we did one of those for Terrifier, which is really cool.
I don't think I got that one. I think Witter Entertainment did that, right?
Yeah, they did. It was a limited edition. Man. Yeah. Oh, it sold out so quickly.
I know, man. And it's hard to get. I got my Mandy big box version, but I had to pre-order like super fast. I did it at work, like on the dot, and I almost didn't get it. Like people were like buying it. Right. It was sold out in like 10 minutes. I'm like, fuck.
But that's so cool to think, though, that like things are selling out that quickly for something like that. It's good to know there's that demand.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the Willy's Wonderland big box to get to me. Now they just sent it off. I got the pre-order on that, and that movie was awesome as fuck. Cause like I gotta have that big box version. I got that one luckily too.
Yeah, that was a fun movie.
It was.
That was a fun movie. I was like, yes, it's that and like Psycho Goreman. I really enjoyed Psycho Goreman as well.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Actually, I believe the kid that played the brother in Psycho Goreman is in Terrifier 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. If I understand correctly, I wasn't on set with him the same day, but I'm like, that's awesome. Because I love the little girl in Psycho Goreman, his sister. She was hysterical.
Yeah, she kind of leads the film, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, she was fantastic, especially for her age to be able to carry that kind of role like that. I was like, damn, she's good.
Yeah.
She is good. She's like the type of character I could see going up against Art the Clown one day.
Yeah, she definitely could, man. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. It's just that kind of personality. Like, oh man, he'd be like, whoa, I like you, but I'm gonna kill you. But I like you. You got spunk.
That movie was so fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, David, thank you so much for being on my podcast with me, man. This was fun as shit.
Oh, you're welcome, man. I had fun chatting with you.
Yeah, this was great, man. And it's cool. Like I said, did the written interview with you, now doing the podcast with you since, I have a podcast now and I'm enjoying it. So,
yes.
So this was great, man. And, yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And I cannot wait for Terrifier 2. I'll be there to promote it and stuff.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes.
You have a great weekend as well, man.
You too, David. Take care.
All right. You too.
Later.
Talk to you later.